beautiful people, welcome to my channel. I go by the name of Lima Khoti, and on my channel I'll be sharing my experiences on how I'm navigating my 20s through having conversations via adulting, career, personal development, mental health, and basically everything in between. So make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, as I'll be sharing tips and tricks on basically adulting and a person being in their 20s. So for this segment part of the video, it'll all be about having career conversations. So I'll be taking you through my experiences in high school and varsity and what led me to choose the career that I was in. So just to share with everybody, so I started my career as an investment analyst and I just pivoted into data science. But we're not going to talk about data science for now. The main focus for now is my journey as an investment analyst. A disclaimer, just putting it out there. I'll be talking about my personal experiences. It doesn't mean that the next person will go through the same processes or procedures that I followed. I am basically here to share my knowledge about my personal experiences, and hopefully this will help the next person navigate their career differently as compared to how I did it. And it also give out tips that you can share with the next person that I didn't get when I first started. Hopefully with this platform, I aim to bring in more experienced people in different fields so that we can share knowledge and also give out tips for people that are looking to tap into different fields. Let's get right into it. I'll be sharing with you everything regarding my background. So I am from Mafikeng, popularly known as Maftown. It's in the Northwest Province. I did my matric there, and you know, by grade 10 you need to choose the subjects that will assist you with your career choice in varsity, which could potentially affect your life, because once you've made that decision you can change it. Yes, it's possible, but there are some fields that you can't move into or tap into due to the background that you initially started as a foundation. So taking you guys back, I was in grade 10. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that I liked helping people in the sense that I wanted to be a doctor initially. But then when I grew older, I realized that no, it's not for me. I do like helping people, yes, but it's not for me. I was also involved in science as well. I liked science. I liked my physics class, especially my chemistry class where we had to do experiments. I loved that. So it got to a point where I had to choose subjects, and I chose physics, life sciences, and accounting. And unfortunately for me, the first 2 quarters of the year, I didn't enjoy accounting. I just didn't understand the concept behind accounting. I was like, okay, what is this? I don't understand. But I liked maths. I liked analyzing stuff. So I ended up dropping accounting for economics. And then I did well. But then it got to a point where in grade 11 you had to choose your subject. The subjects that I chose, it got to a point in grade 11 where I had to start applying for varsity. And it was a difficult decision to make, because considering the fact that I'm only left with a year and I need to make a choice on what my life will be about. And that was quite tricky because I just chose subjects last year. I'm still not sure of what I want to do in my future. And I'm only left, it's grade 11, and I'm only left with a year to make a choice that will impact the rest of my life. So with that, it was quite confusing. It was quite a confusing stage in my life. I honestly did not know what I wanted to pursue, but I knew that I loved economics. I knew that I loved science, but you can't merge the two. That's the knowledge that I had. That's the information that I had. So I applied to 3 varsities, and I'll tell you why I did that. I applied to UP. My first choice was economics. Second choice was biotechnology. And then with Wits, I applied for engineering. Second option was LB. Honestly speaking, I don't know why I chose that. I don't know what was going through my mind, but I was just pressed for time and I just had to make a decision. And then my last option was UJ. It wasn't actually my last option, but it was one of the options. So for UJ, I applied for a double major, which is a BCom and BCom economics and econometrics, and I enjoyed that because it was a double major. And then my second option was biotechnology. So now we're getting to the part where I had to choose a varsity, right? So I was having conversations with my mother. She has been fully supportive of my journey and I really appreciate that. When I had to choose a varsity, my mother wanted me to go to Pretoria. Like, she really wanted me to go to Pretoria, guys. Wow. She wanted me to go to Pretoria because she studied in Pretoria. So I think for her it was something that she was familiar with as well. But I went to the UP campus when I was just trying to secure my spot. And I walked around the campus and I was like, nope, this is not going to work for me. I don't like this. This is not for me. And then after we left for UP, we went to Wits just to try to secure my spot, because people are always on the waiting list, people pay first and all those. So I went to Wits. Wits wasn't allowing any walk-ins. And then my third option, which was UJ, they were not allowing any walk-ins as well, because I think a year or two prior to when I enrolled at UJ, they went through a period where they had stampedes, and that's when they went through with the online system. So great. Why I chose UJ? The reason why I chose UJ was because UJ course, the one that I wanted to do, was a double major. So if I was to graduate, I'd graduate with a BCom economics and econometrics, which is a double major. So I was like, clink clink, that's 5 stars for me, because I know at some varsities it's either you choose an economics degree or an econometrics degree. So with UJ, they merged the two together and made it a double major, hence why I chose that course. And also the reason why I chose UJ was because I have relatives around Johannesburg, so it would have been easier for me to contact somebody if I needed help, or if anything was to happen. I knew that my relatives would come in a split second, or also if I just needed to talk to somebody, they'd be around. So that is another reason as to why I chose UJ. Having the choice of selecting varsities, I was provisionally accepted to all of them, but I chose to go with UJ. And the next part was finances. And that is something that a lot of Black people go through, especially if you are moving from high school to varsity, because finances play a huge role. So in my matric year, I started applying for bursaries. I was getting rejected, guys. It was so heartbreaking. I felt like my dreams were crushed. But my mom just told me that I need to go to varsity and we'll make a plan. Cool, we got to varsity. I accepted my first choice, which was BCom economics and econometrics. And honestly, finances were not there to back up studies. But I kept a strong faith and I kept on applying for bursaries even if I was there. So we have, in varsity, we have semesters. So in my first quarter, let me just say first 3 months of the year, we had to make things work. I went to classes, my mother paid for my what's this, that fee that you pay when they accept you, my registration fees, and I started my varsity life. It was amazing. It was an amazing experience. And also moving far from home, I enjoyed that because I learned how to be independent. But I didn't forget what my plan was, and which was to secure my qualification. So it came to a point where I was still applying for bursaries and nothing was coming through. And then during my first quarter, I went home for recess and I applied for a bursary. Cool. They just told me that no, you'll get a response within 6 weeks. If you didn't, then you were unsuccessful. And I'm glad for that because they gave me a response after that, because with other bursaries they just don't respond back. What happened after? I went back for my second quarter, which was the last 3 months of the semester, and during my June exams I got a call. I was told that I've been offered a bursary, which was a delight. I was so over the moon because I knew that this year was going to be tough for me financially. And luckily with that bursary, it covered accommodation, but you had to live in an accredited accommodation. And it also covered my fees as well, like my full tuition fees, considering the fact that I don't repeat a module, because if I do fail a module, then it falls on me. They won't cover the module that I failed. And also they gave me a stipend to cover my groceries and also meals at school, which was great because I was like, here, I won. Cool, fine. I completed my first semester. I did well, but unfortunately I failed one course, which was a prerequisite in order for me to do the next module, which was econometrics. So the module that I failed was maths, which was quite disheartening because I knew that I knew maths, but I don't know what happened. Maybe my heart wasn't in it like I thought I was, but yeah, I just took it as is. I had to inform my mother that I failed a module, and with that comes the consequences that if I failed maths, which was a very important component in my qualification, if you fail it, it adds an extra year, and other modules don't do that. So it was quite disheartening because with everything else, I passed. And also, a side note, you remember I left accounting, right? Cool. So I got to varsity, accounting was there, and it was a module that I had to complete, but luckily I completed it. And then I proceeded into my second semester, which I also did well in it because I knew that I failed one module. I can't afford to fail more because if I did, then there's a possibility that my bursary will drop. So cool, we get to second year. I know that at the back of my mind I failed maths, which is a module that I have to repeat. And mind you, maths was introduced during my tenure. So before I joined at GJ, they were doing stats. So in 2014, when I started varsity, they were doing maths, but prior to that, they were doing stats. So we got to second year, and second year, we had to choose modules, right? Like majors. So as you know, economics was a major, econometrics was a major as well. I had to choose one elective, which will help me push throughout my varsity years. Yeah, so it got to a point where I had to select, I think my options were accounting, financial management, investments. Yeah, I think it's that. So I chose investments because I realized that with investments there's a lot more to learn. And how I ended up choosing investments was because in my first year in the second semester they introduced financial management, and I remember with my first lecture in my financial management class we were calculating loans, and I was like, you know what, as a black person, some of this financial knowledge is not shared with us, and I didn't even know how loans work. So I became quite curious about it. I was like, okay, cool. So if I can calculate investments, then this will help me in my investment journey because I can look into different ways of investing other than me learning or equipping myself with that financial knowledge. So I chose investments. Great, cool. It got to that point. I'm in second year, everything is going well. I was repeating maths and I was quite disheartened because I have an extra year, but it wasn't a train smash. Cool, fine. It got to a point where I felt like, you know what, I mustn't take it lightly because I'm under a bursary and I had to make it work. So what I did, I formed relationships with tutors. Guys, tutors are like your best friend at varsity. If you didn't know, be friends with tutors. Make sure that also, if you can, if your marks are that great, become a tutor yourself, because it will not help you financially wise, but it will help you also in your career, because those are one of the things that you can add into your CV when you start applying for jobs. So I became friends with tutors who have helped me immensely in my journey, because I knew that I had to pass maths, and I also made sure that I consulted with my lecturer. I knew that every week I had to have a session with my lecturer to make sure that I'm on the right path. And by the grace of God, it helped me, because I ended up passing maths. And that's when I got introduced into econometrics, which I also loved as well, because it was also analytically based, and that's something that I loved. Like, I did amazing in my second year. I did good. I was happy with that. And then it got to third year when I was doing econometrics fully and investments fully, and also economics as well. And I got to a point where I realized that actually I don't like economics. I didn't like economics based off the fact that there was a lot of writing involved. And yes, funny enough, I grew up as a person that wrote a lot. I journaled a lot. I wrote poetry. But it got to me. I was more intrigued in the numbers, and hence why I pursued investments fully. And luckily in my third year, we were given a project which I think opened doors for me, because it helped me identify what I like the most. So in my third year, we got a project which was the JSE challenge. And how that works, I think you were supposed to be in groups of 3 or 4 students. So you set up like a dummy portfolio where you invest in stocks. And this was like a nationwide challenge, because the top, I think, 2 teams that won, I know the second team would get money out of it. And then I knew with the first team they would travel overseas, and I was like, you know what, let's just do it. And then we formed a team. And at that point, honestly, you don't know how stocks work. You're just trying to figure things out on your own. And it was a great challenge, because it taught me like the basics of investing, and it taught me quite a lot, I won't lie. And that's when I was like, okay, I think I like investments more than economics. And that's when I pinpointed the fact that I would like to pursue investments more than economics. So cool, fine, going back to the challenge. Unfortunately, we didn't win. Our portfolio was in its negatives after the 6 months. Like, it was just horrible. Like, the types of companies we invested in were not doing well during that period. But yeah, it was like a learning journey for us. And yeah, I proceeded with my third year, which was amazing. And then I got to fourth year, which was my extra year. So since I carried over some modules, I carried over a module, it blocked my investments as well. So I had to do it on my fourth year again. So yes, during that time as well, I fell more and more in love with investments. And that's when I started realizing that it's something that I am actively trying to pursue. And it got to a point where now I'm nearing the end of my qualification. I need to get a job. And I knew that with my bursary, they did tell me that once I complete my qualification, I had to pay back by working for them for those 3 years that I was given the bursary for. Which was, I don't know, I felt kind of weird about it, because I realized the implications of the bursary, like in my final year, that means that I have to go back home and work at home, and there aren't any ample opportunities as they are in Joburg. And yeah, it got to that point where I was like, now I'm dreading completing my qualification. But I had not, I just gave it my all. And I also had to think about the unemployment rate in South Africa at that point in time, because it has always not been great. So me knowing that I have like financial backing after my qualification, I was happy about that. And then it got to a point where I ended up completing my fourth year, which was my final year. and I was applying for jobs like crazy. I applied to a lot of graduate programs, a lot of internships, and it wasn't working out, which was so frustrating. And then it got to a point where I was becoming desperate because I wasn't getting any offers. I ended up applying for jobs that are not even related to my field. I remember I ended up applying for a marketing job, a sales job, and I'd go for interviews. And then I would get offers, but I felt like it wasn't something that I actually wanted to do. So I was like, you know what, Lerato, since while you have your degree, maybe these people, in order for you to take you in, you need to further your studies. And that's when it got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to look into my postgraduate studies, which is like honors or a postgraduate diploma. Following with that, I completed, I did my postgraduate diploma. It was fun, it was amazing. We were introduced to another project where we had to like value a company, and we had to work in groups, and being placed in a group of people that you don't know also helped me with my interpersonal skills, because it built up my communication skills as well. So yes, we were valuing a company, and we had to come up with a conclusion as to whether it was a buy or sell, and we had to present it to the broader team. So like the top 3, or was it the top 5 teams, had to present it to the class, and that's how it was done. But with me, while I was still doing that project, I was still using my portfolio, which was the investing one, where I just buy stocks and just track the performance of the company and also track the market performance. And that's when I just learned more about investing, and I realized that I actually need to look into investing opportunities if this doesn't work out. But then the problem is that with these investment opportunities, you need capital. So that was another thing as well. Take away from this is I'll be detailing what I wish I knew during that period when I was in high school and varsity. I think one of the most important things is career guidance. We were not given career guidance as much in my high school. You know, they gave us the standard talk where they just said that you need to get good marks so that you can become a doctor, an engineer, an accountant, like not realizing that there's a spectrum of careers out there that we don't even know about. So it's something that I think the education system needs to look into. I also wish that I did a lot more research, which is very important, guys. So use Google, just find out what you like, what suits your personality, and also look at how the market environment is, because I've also noticed that we have a lot of graduates in South Africa, and most of them that are unemployed because of the skill set that's not needed anymore. You'd find a lot of students doing arts, music, all those career choices which don't yield any results. So it's something that I feel like I wish I knew. And also another tip for people that are still in high school looking into going to varsity, guys, please take extramural activities. They help with your CV as well when you're starting a job. They also help getting you into varsity as well. So I was a dancer. I grew up as a dancer. So I think that also helped because it was one of the extramural activities that I did. But you can also look into debating, public speaking. There's a lot more, guys. So just make sure that while you're still in, or also be a part of the SRC. So just make sure that while you are still in high school, do not only focus on your studies. If your studies are like in the hundreds, in the 90s, in the 80s, then you are guaranteed a space in varsity. But for some of us that are just average students that are trying to find our ways, just make sure that you have a backing of an extramural activity, a sport that will assist you when applying, because varsity is also looking to that. And also when you start your career as well, they don't just want to see you as a one-face individual. They want to see if you're capable of multitasking, learning new skills, also learning to manage your time as well. So it's very, very crucial. And another thing that I wish I knew, but I realized that later in my third year when I was socializing with other students and also with my lecturer, they introduced a society. So also become a part of a society, guys. They're very, very important, because once you're a part of the society, they also add those extra bonus points on your CV. I've stated that it's important to join societies while you're still in varsity. So with me, I joined a society called FITS. So it's basically the Financial Information and Development Society. So it assists students in the area of finance in obtaining more information about the field and possible career opportunities. So it includes work events with companies, and those various members within the companies come and educate us about the possible career opportunities that you can find within that field, which is the finance field. So yeah, we went to a lot of companies. I know that we went to Allen Gray, just to name a few. We had sessions with a lot of multi-managers. It was just an amazing journey. So yeah, that's what we did. We just have seminars with them, and we also had another one with the JSC as well, with discovery as well, which was very helpful because it opens you up to a lot more opportunities within the financial services side of things that we were not taught, or the information was not shared with us. So it was one of those societies that I was a part of, and I'm very grateful for them, honestly, because there's more careers in the financial services field that we are not aware of, and it also gives you the chance to not market yourself, but guys, English is running away from me. But it gives you also a chance to interact with various members within the company, and also with one of the sessions we had, like, was it the CEO? Yeah, there as well. So it opened up my eyes to a whole lot, and which is something that I'm grateful for. Grades really do matter, guys. Like, let's not beat around the bush about it. Let's not lie to ourselves. In order for you to make it, you really need to get good grades. So that's also one of the things that should be your main focus, starting from high school. And also with regards to the grades, they are very important in the sense that when you do apply to these graduate programs or to these companies for permanent roles, they take your grades very seriously, because you'll be using your transcript, which will basically show like your history of performance throughout your tenure at varsity. And also the way you structure your CV is very important. Don't use pictures, unnecessary fonts, just keep it plain and simple. Include a cover letter as well. The very most important aspect of it all, if you are trying to get yourself into the financial services field, make sure that you have a portfolio to look into. So I think with me, what assisted me in obtaining my job after varsity was because I was already buying stocks, but not using my money, because clearly as a student you don't have the money to. I was using a dummy portfolio, and that was via equities, where I just buy stocks and then just look at the performance. And it was one of the things that assisted me in my job growth as well, because it was one of the presentations that I did to the company, not to the company, but the interview, to the people that were interviewing me. So it was one of those where I had to like present my portfolio, which is something that I think that landed me the role, was something that a lot of potential candidates didn't supply when they were going through the process. So with me, that's what I did. I presented my portfolio, so that also really worked on my behalf as well. So if you are interested in the finance field, make sure that you have a portfolio, even if it's not for stocks. There's also forex, like, just so that you are taking the initiative just outside school. Like, just make sure that you are really taking this seriously, and it will show that you are a person that's open to learning, even if it's not performing well, but for you as a person just to take the initiative to just learn how things work on your own personal capacity will do wonders for your job search. Another thing is, if you are trying to build your way up into the corporate space, coming from varsity, make sure that you become a tutor if possible, because I know that it opens up a lot of doors. It shows that you take the initiative in teaching the next person, and it also helps in building your CV as well. Another thing that you need to look into as well is keeping abreast of what's happening in the markets. It's very, very important, because it will show that you take initiative in knowing how the environment is and what's happening in the markets. So with me, I had an app called Bloomberg. That's one of the apps that I use to just read about what's happening in the markets. I also have an app called investing.com. It looks at certain stocks, talks about different companies, what's happening in the markets, including different asset classes. So there's also something that I looked into, and that also assisted me in my move into the corporate space, because they want to hire a person that takes initiative and shows that besides work there's more reading that they're doing, and it also shows that you are a responsible individual in the sense that you are taking charge of your career trajectory, because you're always aware of what's happening in the market. I think with this video I've covered all that I needed to cover, detailing my personal experiences in high school and varsity. And lastly, just a takeaway point, guys, just keep on applying. Hey, like, apply. You never know what opportunity comes through, so just make sure that you're constantly applying, even if you don't fit the requirements, just for a skill, oh boy, or men's or girls. So yeah, just force, guys, like apply. You never know who's looking, you never know who's willing to take a bet on you. So please, guys, don't. I'm just gonna end it there. I'm just gonna keep saying that you guys should apply, because it's very, very important. Nothing will fall on your lap. You need to really work hard and also keep a positive spirits as well. So yeah, that's me signing out. Cheers. To say that since we've covered where I started, the next video will be detailing my experiences and how I got into investment analysis. So yeah, for the next video I'll be talking about my experiences as an investment analyst. So keep out on the lookout for that. It's going to be a part 2 of this career conversation. So yeah, again, take care, peace out.